Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Adrian's Digital Basement 2 Super Mini Mail Call. So let's jump right into it. This package comes from PhoneTel Incorporated in Wallingford, Connecticut. Hi to all my Connecticut viewers. The name of the company, PhoneTel Incorporated, gives it away, but also I was chatting with a viewer who sent this to me, and I know that it's about or regarding the Panasonic phone system, which I had on a Super Mini Mail Call episode relatively recently. One of the problems I had encountered with that phone system is that it's a key system, meaning it uses these hybrid telephones. So it's mostly analog for the audio portion, but it has digital signaling for programming the system. Fax 11 sent the phone system to me and picked it up for pretty inexpensively at VCF East, but it didn't have any telephones with it. So I've been using it, but not without any programming, because the programming that's in there seems to be generally fine. So the viewer who sent this to me has a phone business and reached out to me and said that they had a bunch of the Panasonic phones that this particular system uses and would be totally willing to send them to me because all of their customers have stopped using these types of systems and have basically moved over to voice over IP. So I have a letter here and there's just a whole bunch of stuff in here. So I'm gonna unpack everything and then we'll take a closer look. Well, there's quite a big heap of things, lots of phones, and this looks like another little PBX or something. Let's take a look at the letter first to try to explain what's going on here. So Eric is who sent this stuff in, and Eric's company is called Link Solutions. So that name that was on the label, I think, was just one of the alternate DBA names. Looks like what Eric's company specializes in are telephone systems, security camera systems, burglar alarms, home and business automation, access control, multi-tenant lock systems, voice data fiber, sound and public address systems, managed Wi-Fi, and cellular boosters. So the letter that's here is actually more just sort of quick start. It looks like Eric has actually sent me programming software, potentially for the PBX. I wasn't aware you could do that, but I think Eric thought that it was possible over serial. And you can program the systems from these telephones that Eric included, but you have to go through a menu structure on the screen. And it looks like, yeah, there's some software here. It looks like we have a CD, and it says installing it. There's an installer code, system password on both phone system and voicemail system. The default should be this. Digital phones require 2 pairs, so all 4 wires to be connected up. I did actually know that, because I know the middle 2 pair is for analog, or the voice portion, and it's the outside pair that's the digital signaling that goes to the phone. So I'll just set the instructions aside, and let's start opening things up. All right, well, the first thing that I kind of already unwrapped, it looks like to be on-hold music, like a CD-based music system. My assumption is there's, yep, okay, so this flips open. There's a CD player inside. So I suppose this is designed for playback 24/7 with some randomization. Recording instructions, single track CDs, insert CD into drive, close lid, audio will automatically be recorded to the unit's digital memory. Oh, I get it. This is actually solid state. So it rips the CD into its internal memory. Multi-track CDs. Insert the CD, use the select buttons to navigate desired track. I wonder how much memory this thing has and what the quality is like. I guess it only needs to be as good as telephone quality. So this is the On-Hold Plus 5000 CD auto load system. My recollection when I worked for companies and managed the telecom services is for hold on music, I always just set up an old PC we had lying around, and I actually would just use Winamp, and I would just rip whatever hold music we were going to be using off CDs, put them as MP3 files on Winamp. And to be honest, that was ultra reliable. I'd use like a Dell Dimension or whatever it was, just some older computer that was end of life and not being used by employees. And that thing would just work kind of forever. And the cool thing is occasionally I get requests, oh, could you add some more files to the hold music or take some other stuff out? And I could do that very easily. I just, I think I used VNC. I've just VNC into it. But I kind of recall the computer was in the phone closet near the phone switch, and I had a monitor there, so I could just go and manipulate it as needed. So we never really used any of these types of systems, but this was really turnkey. If you had a small business and they didn't know how to, say, keep a computer running 24/7, then kind of a perfect solution. You might have like a CD that had a bunch of music with messages that would play, your call is important to us, et cetera, and you would load that into here and it would just loop and play kind of forever. So on the back of this thing, 12 volts DC input, aux in, trigger, audio out, and volume, a little potentiometer, or it's a little knob there. Looks like we have some kind of a expansion slot of some type there. Sticker on the bottom doesn't really give us much, but you can see that this thing has a wall mount and a warranty void sticker if broken. It also came with a wall wart, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to unwrap everything, then we can test out some of this stuff to see what works and what doesn't work. Next up, we have a little telephone. It's a Panasonic phone. This thing weighs basically nothing. The whole thing is extremely light and very cheap, plasticky feeling. I have to imagine that this is just a standard analog telephone, although it does say it runs on 48/24 volts. It would kind of imply that it's got a little bit more going on. There's the line input, and there is the model number. I happen to have a telephone line that I can plug into this for testing, and well, the little clip just broke off. That's kind of annoying, but this is going into the phone system. So there is a dial tone. If I dial an extension, your phone over there is ringing, sounds normal. Redial, flash, volume up, down. If I hit redial, it does redial, so that does imply that this thing is being powered, because normally when you hang up the phone, if there's no batteries in there, it wouldn't be able to retain the last number dialed. Yeah, so that works. All right, next up we have a Panasonic KX-TA824. So this is a much newer phone than the one that would have come with that phone system. Now this phone I have here is a Panasonic EasyPhone. This is not actually a phone designed for that phone system. This is a normal analog telephone, and you would use batteries in the back to activate the speakerphone and whatnot. But the styling of the phones that would have come with that phone system are exactly like this. It would have had a screen up here. I think it would have been a bit bigger because it would have had a bunch of lit up line buttons for selecting different extensions and stuff like that. But the styling would be just like this. So this is a much newer phone. As far as I'm aware though, it is fully compatible with the phone system. And for instance, all of these buttons here, these different lines and stuff, this is all programmable. I think these all have little LEDs on them. Plus this has a speakerphone, and we have a screen, obviously. So if we plug in our cable here, the broken cable, oh, there it is. Look at that. We have a date and time. And you know what? August 14th is the current date. The time is wrong, but then this phone switch came from the East Coast, and currently it's 3:10 p.m. So it's about 3 hours off, which actually is about right. So speakerphone, that works. Let's try calling my phone. Oh, that actually tried to make an outside call. Huh. Okay, wait a second. I'm realizing now that that is my external gateway, because there are two lines connected, so those are them, but line 3 is not connected. CO3, that's why we have no dial tone. Oh, how interesting. So that's why, yeah, normal dial tone. Well, yeah, anyways, I can't really dial anything. There's no Ethernet connected to it. What I don't quite know how to do is, how do I call an extension on the system? This one says X103, which happens to be the phone over there that you heard ringing a second ago. Intercom, that's how you call to another extension. There it is, internal call, 103. And the sound of the dial tone is different than the external lines. That is the normal sound that's coming through my audio gateway versus this one, which is internally generated. Now there's a program button on here, and this is where I have to read the manual because I just don't know what I would need to do. I think I need to plug this into the first extension jack on the phone system too, and this is not plugged into that right now. I mean, PITS program, no? What do you do? Okay, I don't even know what to do here. How do I get out of this mode? I'm gonna try giving this a call so we can hear what the ringer sounds like on this. So I can see here that we're getting a call from extension 103. I don't want to talk to them though. So what do you do? Forward, do not disturb? You know, maybe there's no way to just reject the call, to be honest. Now, one thing that you can do is there's this auto answer button. I wonder if what will happen is, as soon as I call this from the other phone, this phone will just pick up and go to speakerphone, but I think it will be in mute mode. So then you have to push that to start talking back to the other person. Let me just give it a try. Hello, hello, yes, yes. Yep, that did exactly what I thought it would do. So it essentially answered the phone, and I don't even know if it's in mute mode, to be honest. But this is good if you have an assistant. They could just call into you and talk right to you. You could talk back and forth to them pretty easily. Neat. All right, I just unwrapped this one. Biggest difference is, well, it's a KX-TA824 versus a 31. 2-line screen versus a 1-line screen. So booting this thing up, there he is. We have 3 lines actually, not just 2 lines. And I just totally forgot that I installed a normal phone jack on my desk that goes into the phone system. So I'm slowly reinstalling phone wiring here at my bench. So that works. The problem is I only installed 1 pair. I didn't really think about the whole programming aspect of it. So let's try calling this phone, 102. Nope. There we go, that works, sweet. I can do, well, let's hang up the call there. I can do test calls without having to run over there to use that phone. All right, so 3-line screen, what does that give us exactly? Well, if I hit the program button, maybe that gives us more stuff. No, it doesn't really do anything different. Let's try calling the phone. What did I determine the extension was? 104, I think. Yep, there it is, 102. Of course, the big benefit of a phone like this versus the analog phone that I have right here, this red phone, is if we call the red phone, so 102, oh, that's wrong. I was trying to make an outside call. So intercom 102. Okay, we'll pick up that phone. And then, for instance, we can go to speakerphone. I can put the call on hold, which I guess is now blinking there. And we can pick up one of the CO lines, try to call an outside number. Now, that's not going to work, of course. We can then go back to this, which is this phone right here. Hello, hello. Yep, that's working. And I think theoretically we can conference this with an outside line. So let's try calling conference. And yes, I can now hear this busy signal through this phone as well. So we've conference CO1 and extension 102. And I hung up that phone and now we're just on CO2. Yeah, that's the real benefit of these types of phones, is you can do all that call conferencing stuff and transfers and fancy stuff like that. Music on hold, I don't know, all sorts of other stuff. There's definitely a way to like change the ringer volume and tone on this. You know what's interesting about this phone, just listening through the handset here, there's a little bit of a kind of a background noise, almost like a high-pitched whine on this phone that I definitely don't hear when you listen on these analog phones. They're just perfectly clear. So it's not the phone system itself that's coming through. Let's see if this phone is doing that same thing with that weird background noise. So I'll pick that phone up. Yeah, this one does it, but it's very minor, as you can barely make it out. Just barely. Makes me think there might be some bad capacitors in these phones, and I wouldn't be surprised if maybe it's the refresh of the LCD that we're hearing. Okay, looks like Erica sent me a ton of patch cords. These are just some of the ones that came in the package here. Looks like we have 6 of those nice long 4-conductor patch cords. Here's the CD that Eric included. I will make sure to archive this, especially if this is the stuff that's for this particular PBX, and I'll make sure to put it all on archive.org. But wait, there's more. Well, here we have a Panasonic KX-TA824, the voice processing system. A couple LEDs run an alarm. If we take a look at the side of this thing, looks like we have all sorts of different things on here. VM link, LAN jack, a USB port, some kind of a pin header, shutdown, reset, and we have 2 lines. Almost certainly this is some kind of a voicemail system that you will plug into your phone switch, and it would route calls to this if they were unanswered, external calls, maybe internal as well. And then this would be able to, well, take a message. And this would, of course, work like a voicemail system like you would expect it to do. Now, the phone switch that I have here, Panasonic, whatever it does not have any capabilities like this whatsoever. You had to handle, or you had to do that all with an external box like this. Let's open this and take a look at how it looks inside. So one of the things that this thing does have is we have a coin cell here, or a couple coin cells. I wonder if that's a rechargeable. There's some writing on there, but I can't quite make it out. So I can't tell if it's rechargeable or not, but I can tell that it's not leaking, so that's good. We have various card slots. So this one is the modem, not populated. It says modem there. The line goes over to there. Master memory. Looks like we have some flash memory chips. 2 of them are installed, and it looks like a TDK chip of some kind, maybe a controller. Surface mount caps, memory slave, so there are your backup unit, and LAN, so your network interface card if you want to have this thing have some LAN capability. Maybe you could check your voicemail from your computer or web browser. Almost certainly, this connector is for an additional line card, so you can have 4 lines. So if you needed more capacity in your voicemail system, typically you would only have 2 ports, because with a small phone system, incoming calls don't happen that frequently. So it's not like you're going to have 4 people talking to voicemail all at the same time. But if you did need that, you would add your extra line card. We have another card slot there, and actually that looks like it's for another line card as well. So this thing supports up to 6 ports. 2 are standard, and then you can have an additional 4. Now, it's my assumption this communicates with the phone system with 2 pairs, so 4 wires. That way, the digital signaling that says, hey, this call is coming in from CO line 3, and if there's caller ID, or you could see if there's an extension calling another extension, this thing will know that information. The PBX could send that over the digital pair. That way it knows how to store this in the correct mailbox, and then your phone will light up and say you have a message based on the information that this thing communicates back to the phone system over that digital pair. That's my assumption, at least. I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure if that's really the way this works. Not too much else to say about this. It's a Panasonic voicemail system that I assume works with this particular PBX. Now, the funny thing is, the audio gateway that I have, the SIP gateway that connects to Asterisk, I can actually use that for voicemail as well. It supports 2 FXS ports and 2 FXO ports. That means it can emulate CO lines, and it can also emulate an extension like a telephone. And I think that's what this does. So what's basically programmed into your PBX is you get a call that doesn't get answered, and it forwards it to another extension, which happens to be a simulation of a telephone, which is what this voicemail system is. Well, that's what my audio gateway will do. It emulates an extension as well. So it could just forward to that, which is just Asterisk, and I can program it to then have a voicemail box. This is all stuff that I obviously not really going to use. It's not like I'm going to be making phone calls and having incoming calls that need to go to voicemail. It is neat to have this stuff to play around with though, and this will definitely be something that I'll need to play around with at some point in the future. Anyhow, we're not done. There's still some more stuff to look at. Looks like there's one more package. This looks like another PBX potentially. Yes, that is exactly what we have here. So we have Panasonic KX-TA824. I need to go look at which model the one I have mounted on the wall over there is. I don't think it's an 824. The one that I have mounted on the wall is a KX-TA624. And I think that the 8 or 6 is like a generational thing, so 6 being older. The one difference is the one that I have mounted actually looks like it has more ports. Now the main unit itself looks very similar to this in that it has support for 3 cards. This only has the main motherboard installed, no additional cards. The one that I have mounted over there has a second line card, which adds 3 additional CO lines instead of just the 3 built in, and has 6 total, and it added 8 more extensions. So that system has a total of 16 extension. I am curious though if the line card is the same between that system and this system. Also, this one appears to have a USB port on it for programming. I don't think that one had that. I think that one only had a serial port. Let's fire this thing up and see if this thing works. So as is typical for Panasonic, the switch mode power supply is built into the unit. So you just plug in a standard cable and it's firing up. The run light is lit. These things are absolute workhorses, so I'm not surprised that this thing just works. So I'm going to plug in the analog phone first into jack 1. Yes, it does, and it's giving me a fast dial tone, which I don't know what that means. I'm not sure if that means there's like voicemail or the system's not programmed potentially. Let's get this plugged into one of the hybrid phones. See what that does. Okay, August 14th, 7:21 p.m. Yes, I think this is telling us here that it thinks we have voicemail. So let's try calling an extension 102. All right, so I think it would be ringing right now. We do have some line numbers lit up. These aren't going to work. Obviously, there are no CO lines connected right now. What if you push message and it tries to connect us to voicemail? It also doesn't pick a CO line. It goes to one of the intercom lines. And that's calling another extension. So interesting is this phone switch does not also have a normal ringback tone. And I bet you the busy signal also, it just sounds like the dial tone. Let's give that a try, 101. So that's the busy signal. It just sounds like a pulsed dial tone. That's exactly like the 624 unit. So there's no real difference in that regard. So I'm kind of curious what the difference is between the TA824 and 624. They both support the same number of lines and all that stuff. There's got to be some functionality difference between these units, I would imagine, just because I think the 824 has got to be newer. So the Panasonic TA624 is the most practical choice for larger residences. It supports 6 CO lines and 24 stations. Okay, and look, there's a little bit of a difference here. So the 824, which is this unit that Eric just sent me, supports 8 CO lines, which is 2 more than the 624. Yeah, 8 is 2 more than 6, and up to 24 extensions. And it also has a pre-installed caller ID line, which is used for the first 3 CO lines. That's actually kind of cool because with the audio gateway hooked up to Asterisk, that definitely can send caller ID information. And that means that the 824 can pick up the caller ID information for giving you information on one of these phones. If you're getting a call from Asterisk, I could see caller ID info, which I would not be able to see with a 624. Does it really matter? Because I'm really going to be using this mainly for analog phones without caller ID. Not sure. It also does appear the line cards for this are not necessarily compatible because it looks like they have an 8 in the model number. But looking at this website, the 624, it's not 100% clear, but it looks like, yeah, the TA6 for the cards that go into the 624 versus this model, which has an 8 in the model number. So I don't know. If you happen to know whether these cards are compatible, let me know. I can also ask Eric, because of course Eric sold these to customers, and that's where all these phones and these, phone systems came from. Clearly these ones that he sent over are used, which is fine, because I'm sure these just came out of customer installations when they did upgrades, and that's pretty cool because I have them now. So the big question is, should I swap out the 624 that I have mounted on the wall with this 824? This has caller ID, but it only supports currently 8 lines or 8 extensions, while the one I have mounted on the wall supports 16 extensions. Does that really matter? Will I have more than 8 extensions? Probably not. Although with that voicemail module, if I mount that, that's 2 ports. So we only have 6 extensions at that point. And I already have one on the bench here. I have the one on the wall over there, plus the phone that's mounted right by the phone switch. So that's 3 used up. Now, it doesn't actually leave that many extensions for me to use. I was planning on hooking up probably 3 phones upstairs, and that doesn't leave me any extra extensions down here because I did intend to mount 1 more phone in the basement over there. So I think I would actually be out of extensions if I'm using the voicemail. If I don't use the voicemail, then I have enough ports for all the extensions that I'm planning to use. So what do you think I should do? Is caller ID on the 3 lines that are on here, 2 of which I can use with my audio gateway, worthwhile? Or should I stick with the other phone system without caller ID, but it has more extensions? And if you know if I can use the line card from the other system in here, then that's perfect. I could just pop it in here, and then I'll have all the extensions I could ever use with the TA824 versus the 624. So the question is, can I use the 624 line card in the 824? Does that work? As if it does, then I should go to this one. Incidentally, Eric sent me the exact Panasonic power supply for the voicemail system, which is good because the jack actually looks a little different than normal. So I wouldn't have been able to easily get that thing powered up without this. So I have both of these phones plugged into the TA824 sitting right here, so I can call in between these. I think, what do we have? 102 is that extension. And yeah, okay, cool. So what I wanted to do is test out this hold music thing, because using these 2 hybrid phones, I can put someone on hold and we can hear if the music works. All right, looks like the audio output is an RCA jack on this. And I can see on the phone switch here, it's a 3.5 millimeter audio input. Let me get the right cable for that. Okay, I have stereo headphone jack plugged into the phone switch. I assume it's one of these 2. That will be the correct jack or cable to plug in here. So I have the power supply plugged into this. Let's turn this on. Oh, there's a power switch there. Okay. Length, preview, CD read. Okay, it's trying to read the CD. So let's pop a CD in here. Can it read CDRs? Hopefully, because this is my royalty-free music CD. Speaker on, speaker off. Okay, so there's some kind of hold music on here already. Okay. All right, we'll go with the music that's built into this thing. So if I call one of these extensions, I think we're extension 102, so 101. So we'll answer that with a speakerphone, and I'll push hold. All right, we're on hold. There's no music. So try the other cable here. There's an impedance switch, 8 ohms or 600 ohms. That just telling me I left some on hold. I wonder if in here, you know, I never looked in this little compartment of the batteries. Oh, ROM sockets. Additional like flash memory, I suppose. Funny. This phone is currently on hold. See, it's still on speakerphone. We're not hearing anything though. Let me pick up the line again. There we go. Okay, so yeah. So you can hear the touch tones through there. If I put it back on hold, it's odd because this phone is still engaged, but I'm not hearing any audio, and I'm definitely plugged into the external audio jack on the phone switch. And usually, even though it's a stereo jack, one of these two should work. Okay, so these go to my amplified speakers on my bench. The cable's not very long. Wow, okay, it's working. It just sounds distorted. So hilarious. I'm going to flip the impedance switch here. There we go. 8 ohms. Not distorted now. Okay, so the audio output of this works perfectly. This hold music is totally hilarious. Oh, thank you for being on hold. So I suppose what's going on, yes, I understand. I put you back on hold. There we go. I guess what's going on is that, well, could it be that the phone switch needs a mono jack? Let me find a mono cable. We'll use that instead, just in case that's what it is. You know, this hold recall thing is annoying. I'm just going to end that call entirely. All right, so this is the cable I use for loading stuff onto old computers. It's got mono jack going to stereo. So we'll just plug the stereo jack here into this set of RCA cables. Plug one of those in. Let's try doing that call again. Okay, put you on hold. No. All right. So my assumption is the hold music is just not enabled on the phone switch because we would be hearing this audio. I mean, I can try the other cable, but I'm quite positive the way I wired this cable up, yeah, this goes into the mono jack. So there's probably a configuration setting inside the phone switch to enable, disable it, and it's just currently not enabled. Right, so I got into the system programming menu, and I think it was 111 for the hold music. How do I actually change this option? Oh, I see. This lets you scroll through them. Flash key, hold music. External. Looks like the two possibilities are external and tone. I don't know how to switch between the options here, though. I figured out that the hold button goes back to the previous menu. Okay, I pushed store. It was flashing external, and then it beeped, and the light came on, which I assume means it saved. Let's try calling the other phone. Okay. Push hold. Okay, so the other phone is on, but we're not hearing anything. And I just tried both jacks on the music thing, which is definitely playing. Yep, there's the music coming out of it. But we're not hearing anything out of the phone system still. With the system, to get into the system programming menu, you push this. This, I think, is the extension programming, *#, password 1234, because it's never been changed. And now we're in the system programming menu. And I think you just type in one of these, so speed dialing, and then you can scroll through all this stuff. System password, you know, I don't know. A whole bunch of stuff in here. But there is our hold music option. Push the down arrow. Now it says external. Still don't know how to switch between the different options though. Looks like this auto answer button switches. So let's put it onto tone. I press store to save it. We exit out. Now let's try calling the other extension, 102. Put it on speaker, push hold. I just kind of would have expected this to just periodically beep. It's still on hold, but there's just no sound at all. Oh, this is the hold callback. So the calls just come back to this phone. So if we answer it and hang up, that just disconnects that call. Yeah, very odd. All right, I noticed this button down here says page. I'm thinking these phones came from this phone system, because when I pick this up and I push this button, paging all, and this other phone came off hook and I can talk to it now. So I think if you have a bunch of these special phones, you can do that page function. This does not work on normal analog phones. And it appears that dials 33 star. 33 star. Yeah, page all. So that's like a speed dial basically. Just check out the manual for how the hold music works, because I kind of want to hear this working. It just says 8 ohm impedance, plug it into the jack. It's 3.5 millimeters, all pretty standard stuff. Looks like you could plug a stereo jack in there as well. To program it, it's 111, which is what we looked at in the menu. And yeah, I don't know. It should be working. Oh, you know what I'm thinking? I think the problem with the hold music is it only sends it to the outside lines and it's not for the internal extensions. Because it says here, if the tone is assigned, the following cyclic tone is sent to the held outside line. Well, I think I can make this work. I'm going to plug this, which is one of the extensions from my other phone system, into one of the CO lines on this one. So now if we take this phone and we pick up line 1, this is actually the other phone system. So if I dial an extension 103, okay, cool. So it thinks it's an outside line, but it's actually just the extension on the other phone system. So it should stop ringing in a second. And this phone now is connected to extension 102 on my other phone system. So for instance, if we pick up line 1, dial 102, this phone will ring. Okay, so we answered, hello, hello, yes, it's working. I'm going to pick this phone up so we don't get feedback, because I can turn on the speakerphone here. Now I'm going to push hold. Okay, I don't hear anything. I forgot how I left the programming on here. Let's try this other cable. And is the audio jack still plugged into the hold music? Yes, it is. Okay, so that's me blowing into this, and it's coming through the speakerphone. So hold music, we should have heard it, but we didn't. Okay, so we hung up, so let's check our programming. So we'll go into system programming mode, and we'll go to 111, hold music. It's set for external. Save. Okay, let's try calling that again. So we'll exit out of there. 102. Okay, so that's the other phone system through an outside line. Oh, I can hear the hold music. It's just super quiet. Okay, so this is definitely working. It's set for 8 ohms. I swear I could hear it through here, but it was very, very quiet. Trying a different cable. Oh, there it is. There it is. Hold music. Freaking works. Ha! I think that's so hilarious that it actually works. So freaking cool. If we pick up this call, there we go, hello, hello, and we put it back on hold. Going back on hold, here's the music.
Holding. We look forward to talking with you soon. Please hold the line and we'll be right back with you.
I didn't know there was talking. Oh, this is so hilarious. I hope this music's not copyrighted, because I'll be getting a copyright strike. Oh, that's super great. So, so great. Okay, I hung that up. So what's interesting is my monaural cable didn't work, but the stereo one, which is the one I was first trying, does work. I think I can call into this through the outside line as well by using my other phone system, 104. There it is. So it's ringing here on line 1, both of these phones. They're not actually making a ringing sound. It might be in night mode, although I think that would say that. Now, I'm pretty sure that there's a way to enable background music on these, and it's one of those star codes. Like 33 star was the same as the page function. Something like that will play the background music from this player on the speakerphone of this phone, you know, internal. And you would use that because if you had, say, a radio plugged in and you wanted people to be able to listen to music at their desk, they would be able to do that. I mean, through a little crappy sounding speaker, but it would work. And as soon as you got a call or picked up your phone, the music would go away, but it would come back as soon as you hung up. All right, so according to the manual, the function can be turned on by just dialing 1 while the extension is on hook and idle. That doesn't do anything. If background music is enabled through system programming, 626. Okay, I think we have to go into the programming mode here. 626, background control. Jack number. Well, this phone is plugged into jack number 1. Okay, jack number 1 disabled. So how do we switch this? Jack number 2 disabled. So I guess we could scroll through all the jacks. Okay, we don't have all these jacks because there's no line card enabled. All right, so is it this mute key? Enable. Line 2, enable. Okay, I think it's gonna work now. So we'll exit the programming mode. We push 1. Oh, that didn't do anything. Oh, but it worked on the other phone. So you push the 1 key, is background off. These other buttons don't do anything, but you push 1. You can listen to the music and adjust the volume with the volume control. I just love this. Oh, listen.
Appreciate your patience. Please stay on the line and we'll be back in a moment.
So I remember when I worked at a computer store in high school, we had one of these Panasonic phone systems. I think it was an older model. It was definitely bigger than this one. And I definitely recall some of the employees in the office would listen to the hold music sometimes at their desk. And I guess you just pushed 1 to turn it on and turn it off. Oh, the music just restarted. Oh, I love it. I love it. This is total flashback nostalgia for me. I wonder why it doesn't work on this other phone though. Am I plugged into jack? Yeah, I'm plugged into jack 1 and 2. So going back in the menu here, so background control, and we push down jack number 1. Oh, it's set for disabled. That's why. So we gotta enable it. Maybe you have to enable it one by one. So there it is. Exit out of there, push 1. There it is. Background on. Tune on both phones in stereo. Nice. Oh, this is so hilarious. Just so many memories, so many memories. Let's give this voicemail system a little bit of a test. I have it plugged in, and I have both the phone cables plugged in to the PBX right there. Now the note from Eric said to dial 107 to check voicemail. So let's just see if that works.
Welcome to the Panasonic voicemail system.
Yes.
This is the subscriber tutorial service. In this service, you can set your password, record your name, and record your personal greetings before you use this system.
I'm not 100% sure if it knows the extension I just called from. So this was extension, pretty sure 102. Let's just check that. Oh yeah, it's right there. Lights up the 102 button. So does the voicemail know that 102 is what called this? I don't know. But this phone here is the one that has the voicemail indicator. I pushed message. It just said 107. So I think it was just telling me that I need to call that extension. So push message.
Welcome to the You can hear a help message before each setup.
So
you can set your password to a maximum of 16 digits. When you access your subscriber service, the system asks you to enter your password. We recommend you change your password frequently for good security. Password not assigned. Enter your password followed by the pound sign.
Okay, we'll just do 1, 2, 3, 4.
Password is 1, 2, 3, 4. To change, press 1. To accept, press 2. Please record your name. It is used in the following way. If you deliver your message to another mailbox owner by using the message delivery feature, the message receiver will hear your message with your name when he receives.
Where's the speed up button?
Owner's name is not recorded. Record owner's name at the tone. To end recording, press 1.
Adrian Black.
Owner's name is
Adrian Black.
When any caller leaves a message for your mailbox, your personal greeting is played before the recording. There are 3 kinds of personal greetings. A no-answer greeting is played.
It's very talkative, this whole system.
A busy greeting is played when you are on another call. An after-hours greeting is played when you are gone for the day. Please record these personal greetings based on the following system greeting. If you do not record a personal greeting, the system plays the following pre-recorded system greeting.
Okay, this is fine.
Please leave a message at the tone. To end recording, hang up or press 1 for more features. To pause and restart recording, press 2. Refer to the system greeting, but record your personal greeting as you like. No answer greeting is not recorded. Record greeting at the tone. To end recording, press 1. To pause and restart recording, press 2.
I'm not here. Call me back later. Bye.
To review, press recording accepted. To confirm your settings, press 1. Password is 1, 2, 3, 4. Owner's name is
Adrian Black.
no answer greeting is
I'm not here. Call me back later. Bye.
to confirm your settings, press 1. Password is
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Just,
Owner's name is
Adrian
I
Black.
can't believe we're listening to
no
this
answer
again.
greeting is
There we go. Voicemail.
to receive the message, press 1.
Finally.
To deliver a message, press 2. You have one message. To listen to new messages, press 1. New message.
That's the message. All that work for that? Oh, how do we delete? 3?
All new messages erased.
There we go.
To listen to new messages, press 1. To listen to old messages, press 2. There are no messages.
No messages.
To listen to new messages, press 1. To listen to
Okay, so I hung up. Theoretically, oh, the message light went off. So this thing really does communicate with the phone system, I guess, through that digital signaling, because it seems to know which extension is calling into voicemail, which is cool. Okay, so what I'm going to try doing is calling into the system here from an external line, because I do have this cable plugged in from my other phone system. What I'm going to do, though, is put this into night mode. So to do this, it's in day mode right now. 782 pound. Night mode. Okay, so now the system's in night mode. So when I call into it, it won't ring, should go to voicemail. So I'm going to dial from my other phone, extension 104, I think. Okay, there it is. It's ringing. We're just not hearing it because it's in night mode. This should forward to the automated attendant.
Please enter your party's extension.
Oh,
To enter by name, press the pound sign and 1.
well, there's no names programmed in here, so we'll do 101.
Please wait a moment.
Oh, and it's calling here. Hello, hello, yep, it's working. Okay, well, that works. So automated attendant does work after hours. And they're hung up on me. So when the voicemail system picked up, of course it didn't know which extension I wanted to leave a voicemail for because there's no direct inward dialing configured for the system. Just the incoming calls ring all the phones on the entire phone system. The way it was set up now, you type the extension of who you want to talk to, it will ring, and I guess if the person doesn't answer, it then will go back to voicemail and you can leave a message for that extension. In fact, let me just give that a quick try. Okay, so voicemail answered, and I'm going to type in 102 or 101. And now, hopefully, it will ring a little while, and then it will, let's see. I don't know if, like, this phone should be hearing hold music right now, because I don't have it plugged in, while this is ringing, but you don't even hear a ringback tone, which is kind of lame.
Sorry, no one is available to answer the call. To leave a message, press 1. To call the...
I'm not here. Call me back later. Bye.
Yeah, hi, this is a message. I'm leaving it on the voicemail like it's 1997. Bye. And it turned on the light, and it's blinking. Voicemail?
Enter your password followed by the pound. You have one new message. To receive the message, press 1. You have one message. To listen to new messages, press 1.
Okay.
New message.
Yeah, hi. This is a message. I'm leaving it on the voicemail like it's 1997. Bye.
So the Panasonic KX-TA824 totally works. I have no idea how fancy this is. Does it have phone trees? Like press 2 if you want to talk to sales, 1 for technical support? Maybe. That would be typical for the way these would work, but my experience from these types of systems all was a little bit later in the 2000s where things got a little bit more advanced, and even basic office systems like this pretty much had full capability to do anything you could wildly imagine when it came to the way the phone system was configured. Since this Panasonic system is potentially a little bit lower cost than some of the later ones, like the all-digital ones from Avaya and Nortel, maybe it doesn't quite have all of the functions that those ones have. Now, one thing I did since yesterday is I plugged my audio gateway, which is the SIP interface for the other phone system one I have mounted back there, and it's plugged into Ethernet, which means I can now connect to Asterisk with it. So if we grab a line and a dial 9, now we're hearing the dial tone from the gateway, and if I dial 1100,
Time is Friday, August 15th, 2025 at 11:08 p.m.
the time is wrong. I think Asterisk is running in a Docker container, and I think it's set for universal time. It's only 4 p.m. right now. But you just heard I was able to call an extension that just has a little bit of a voice thing going on, doesn't actually make a call. But if I had SIP phones with extensions, I could set them up in Asterisk, and then I could dial 9, and then of course connect to any of those extensions. And it goes without saying that if I had a SIP trunking service, I could just connect it to Asterisk, and I could dial 9 to get an outside line, so to speak, and then just dial any normal phone number, and based on the routing in Asterisk, I'd be able to make an outside call to my mobile phone, for instance. And of course, it works the other direction. From the Asterisk console, I can actually initiate a call, a test call. There's no audio if I'm just doing it through like a terminal session, but it will ring all the phones as well. Now, incidentally, with these phones here, if we switch back to night or day mode, 781, now we're in day mode, and I call into this system. So all I have to do is with my other phone here, dial extension 104. That's the ringing that you get. Call on CO1. It's a solid ring as opposed to like the double ring when you're calling in between the extensions. Now, one thing I was curious about is I wanted to see if I could change the ringing when you call internally, because right now, as we know, if I call that extension, you get a double ring, which is fine. It's kind of like UK sounding. Maybe the timing's not exactly right. But let's go into the programming mode. And I think there's 115 extension ring pattern. How do we change this? Double? Ah, right. Okay, so can we change triple? Single. Nice. Let's see if that changes it. I like the single ring a little bit better. I know you can differentiate between external calls, like coming in for your CL lines, and the internal calls with a different ring pattern, but I'd rather it just be a single ring for internal calls. And let's see. Okay, that's nice. That's really nice. And in fact, what I want to do is I'm going to plug this cable here. This white cable is the one that goes to the other Panasonic system, the KX-TA824. And I want to change this to single ring right now, because if I try calling 102, we get the double ring. So let's see if this has the same password. I was just trying to access the system programming, but I couldn't. I think this needs to be plugged into extension 101. I'm going to move the cable. Okay, there we are. This is now extension 101. So if I pick up this phone, I dial 101. There we go. That's working. Extension 104 was good. So let's see if we can get into the programming mode now. Password, good. Nice, system programming, that worked. So it was 115, extension ring pattern. Oh, the interface is a little bit different. On the newer system, I could push down, and then it would list on the second line what was the option. Let's try these. Transfer, hold. Okay, hold still exits the menu. It keeps beeping. That was 115. Speakerphone. Double. So that actually went to the setting. Well, how do we change it now? Okay. So it's pressing store actually does store the setting. So you have to push, let's see, 115. You push this. Now it says double. I don't know. Oh, triple. Okay, it's similar now. So single. So now I can hit store, exit or program. Right. I've exited now. At this point, if I call extension 104, which is this Panasonic, we should get a single ring. I have to hang up first though before I can call it. Oops, no, I don't want to call CO line. I need to do intercom. That's some programming I'd like to fix. It only seems to affect these phones though. What did I do? Oh no, it's extension 102 I need to call. Single ring, much better, much better. Still has a double ring back on this phone, but the actual ring is only a single. All right, well, I think that was enough fooling around with the phone system for one video. Total nostalgia for me. because I remember, hey, the background music's up, but I do remember going into the programming on that system and being able to fiddle with settings, because anytime the time changed with daylight savings, we had to go in there and change the system time. That way people's phones wouldn't have the wrong display on them and whatnot. I still don't remember if we had voicemail at that job, but I think we must have. Maybe it was a regular answering machine. I can't quite remember, because it does support normal answering machines. It'll just forward all the incoming calls when the system's in night mode, when that means no one's in the office, to that system. And in the morning, someone will just come in and call that extension, take down all the messages, and return any calls that need to be returned. Actually, before I end this video, let's take a quick look at this CD just to see what's on here, make sure this could be read. I'm assuming this was just made by Eric for me. Yeah, it's got a little bit of data on here. I bet you that whatever software's on you probably requires like Windows XP or Windows 2000, but luckily I have the laptop that I can run that on. I won't even attempt to run it on here, although it might work, and I have serial ports on my lab machine, and this phone system here has that USB port on it. All right, well, here's what's on the CD. We have the programming console. Wow, this thing's really kind of struggling a little bit. My CD player's making weird noises. I might need to put this in the one upstairs. We have we have a bunch of different manuals, including, I think for the phones maybe, and also a voicemail programming console. So for the voicemail module, wow, that's gonna make it a lot easier than navigating the menus. Although, to be honest, the phone programming is not that hard once you have the manual referenced right there. Yeah, this thing is not happy. Yeah, my drive on the computer is making weird noises. Well, hopefully my other optical drive on my computer upstairs can read this without any trouble. I will get this off of here and I will get this stuff archived. If anyone wants to see me fooling around with the programming of these systems, let me know. I have no idea if any of this is interesting. In fact, all this stuff that I was just doing here was probably not interesting as well. But if you want to see that, let me know. It's been a fun process getting these old analog phone systems. VAX11 sent me the original one really so I could use it for connecting modems together, so I could test modems and show people what it's like to actually use them with a real phone system without me having to actually get phone lines in the house. It's just a way for me to do it without that. And then, of course, I have all these analog phones around the house, and, well, since I have those, it would be pretty awesome to be able to call different rooms in the house and stuff. I'm totally down with that. Now, of course, if I had these phones in every room, we could use this page function just to sort of talk to everyone in the house all at once. But let's be honest, I much more appreciate the old style phones, like the red phone that I was showing earlier. Those are just so much more fun to have around the house, a conversation piece when people come over. If people come over and they see this, they're just gonna be like, yeah, whatever, not very interesting. But to see an old like 1975 phone or a rotary dial phone, that is cool. And then to be able to go, oh yeah, you can call between this and the other rooms and stuff. I think that's pretty hilarious. And even if just I have friends over and the phone is sitting there and I call from the other room, the sound of the bell is just something you don't hear anymore in daily life. And that was something, you know, if you're my age, you grew up with hearing all the time. There's a real wave of nostalgia when you hear that. And that's pretty darn fun. So Eric, thank you so much for sending in all this stuff. It's really awesome to play around with this. It's cool to have another phone switch as a backup if the other one breaks, although I know these things are incredibly reliable. And it's really awesome to have this programming software, but even if this doesn't work, I'll still be able to use these phones to program both of these phone switches. This would be such a cool setup if you had a big house, phones all over the place, or a small business. So many small businesses relied on phone systems exactly like this, or ones from other brands, and they were rock solid and they did their job so well. They all got replaced with voice over IP now. You just don't really need any of this. I mean, who even needs phones at work anyways? I know when I was working full time, when I left my job, I really stopped using my phone entirely. We did everything on Zoom calls, Teams, and of course, if someone actually did need to call me, they'd call my cell phone, but that was even rare because they would just chat you and be like, hey, can you talk? And be like, yeah, and then you'd start a meeting on Teams. So yeah, this technology is such a legacy thing, but look at how it all just worked. Plugged it in, it just freaking worked. This stuff is so reliable, and that's what's so awesome about it. And I really do appreciate having the Panasonic phone system of VAX11. If you're watching, thank you very much for that. And Eric, thanks for all this stuff too, so now I can really kind of get this set up. And the last big hurdle I got to do at home here is start running phone wiring around, and I'm not looking forward to that at all. Years ago, I put Cat5 cabling everywhere in this house, so I have Ethernet everywhere, plus Wi-Fi and stuff. I never thought I would need phone jacks. I ripped all that stuff that was in this house out, and now I'm thinking about putting it back. So not quite sure what I'll do about that, but I might try to reuse some of the Cat5 cabling I'm not using because I don't use it in every spot, and then I can run phone cabling over that. Okay, I've rambled on long enough. Thanks again, Eric. Thanks, VAX11. Thank you to everyone who's watching. Thanks to all the other viewers who sent stuff in. I really appreciate it. Thumbs up if you enjoyed this. Let me know in the comment section if you want me to work on more phone stuff like this. It won't be main channel stuff, it'll just be second channel playing around, but it's so darn fun. I will mention that I am looking for a Western Electric rotary dial telephone. So if you happen to have one of those and you'd be willing to send it in, one that works, that would be awesome because I have all touch-tone phones right now, but I'd like to have an old rotary dial, which does work with these Panasonic systems, which is awesome as well. Huge thanks to my supporters to make it possible to do this full time. You can become a supporter, link below, like, subscribe, blah, blah, you know, usual YouTube stuff. And that's going to be that. So stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.